On this episode of ResiWeek, NICE acquires Nortek, an employee versus customer focused. All this and more on this episode of ResiWeek.
The network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
is AV.
This
is AVNation.
This is AVNation.
This is ResiWeek, episode 297, Freestyle Retail.
Support for AVNation is brought to you by
Draper, focused on innovative solutions.
Welcome to this episode of ResiWeek. This is your weekly roundup of all the latest news and stories for the residential AV industry. I'm your host, Matt D. Scott for AVNation.tv, and this week I'm pleased to be joined by three of my closest friends. First, we have the resident Florida man, Mr. Seth Johnson. He is a software development manager at Blackwire Design. How you doing, Seth?
Doing well, thanks. Thanks for pointing out I'm in Florida. As always.
Any chance I get, my friend. Then we have Jen Steinhardt. She is a service coordinator at Electronic Environments in New York. How you doing, Jen?
Doing good, Matt. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. And last but not least, we have my good friend, Mr. Joe Whitaker. He is the CEO of Thoughtful Integrations. How you doing, Joseph?
I am doing well, living my best life, trying to get a new CEO. You know the story. It's coming soon. I'm going to take a back seat. But fabulous to be,
Words
with you.
That have never been spoken by Joseph.
Yeah, you know what? Work less, make more. Somebody told me that once, so we'll just do that.
That is the key. Speaking of, I don't know how to make that transition happen. This is coming to us from Residential Tech today. We're going to jump right into it. Nortek Security and Control has been acquired by the Italian company NICE. I think 4 weeks ago, we were speculating on who the suitor for Nortek was, and obviously now we know it is NICE out of Italy. If you don't know NICE, they are reasonably big in the kind of door automation and gate automation, but they also have Abode and NICE and high security. That's kind of their more consumer-facing brands that you might know. Seth, when you see this acquisition, Nortek has been, and previously Linear, they've been staples in the industry for years. What does it mean to see them get picked up by NICE, who again, has this big little automation thing for gates and doors and sliders and all this other kind of stuff, but really they're known for their DIY Abode products. What does it mean for that match?
Yeah, well, first I got to say this completely broke my brackets. I did not see they weren't even on there.
Had you heard of them before?
I had heard of Abode, and I think by the way I've heard of NICE, but they don't really have a presence here in the States. Of course, they do now. But I think this is kind of like part of a broader trend that we've been talking about probably for over a year or two, and that's kind of like this M&A march that's been going on, mergers and acquisition march that's been going on. We've had distributors combine into one, and snapped up by one, so to speak. And then, we've had a number of companies combine their efforts, even integrators. So I think broader, if you take a step back and look at that, it kind of means that there could be a shrinking of the market. And I've got to wonder, how much, how if the business of AV is shrinking a little bit, what that means for integrators moving forward.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Seth. Jen, when you see this, do you expect some of the Abode IP to make its way into products like 2GIG and some of the other things that are under Nortek that, again, are great products, but I don't think it would hurt them to get a little bit of that customer usability that products like Abode have?
I do kind of hope that this merger or acquisition, rather, is going to help with that customer experience and userability side of things. With what Seth was talking about, is I do think that it's a big concern. So I'm hoping that that's a silver lining. But my bottom dollar is it's still a little too soon to tell.
Joseph, one of the things that always concerns me a little bit with these acquisitions is when they're so early talking about blended portfolios. And you can see in the pretty much the last paragraph of that article, they're talking about having a fully blended portfolio by 2023. And if I read between the lines and follow the marketing speak that usually entails, we may either see some brands spun off or some brands, we'll just say, not focused on as much. Is that a valid concern?
Maybe. I was seriously looking around where I'm at for a blender because I was going to do a version of Will It Blend, you know, the YouTube videos. Will it blend? I was going to like throw Nortek in there and a bunch of other companies, see if it will actually blend. So, you know, here's the thing. You look at the history of all that and you know, what I know about Nortek and then what I know about the company that owns them. You're right. You know, gate operators, some security stuff, and a handful of other little DIY items. You know, you grab a company like Nortek, that's a game changer. That's like when, you know, that equity firm got Snap AV. It's like, hey, let's get a whole bunch of a lot of stuff. And then let's make the big roll of the dice gamble on, can we go IPO in 12 months? That's my initial thought. Because a lot of people don't understand about Nortek. There's the companies that like me, you, and Seth and Jen know, right? There's like Alon and there's Speakercraft and there's Niles. But dude, they own an air conditioning company called, it's down the street from my house. It's here in St. Louis. Nordyne. They own Nordyne, which is a thermostat and air conditioning company. They own one of the biggest camera manufacturers in the U.S. They own so much stuff. And where Nortek has always screwed up, post $52 million man Jeremy Burkhart, when they acquired all that stuff, was they never figured out how to consolidate it all. Alon used cameras that weren't owned by Nortek, but Nortek owns a camera brand. Alon used thermostats that were not owned by Nortek, but Nortek owns a thermostat brand. Their insides through what used to be core brands and everything else was such like a misfit hodgepodge of let's just try to figure out how to throw so much crap into one big pail, right? But they have all the actuating parts, but they haven't had a management company that could figure out how to put them all together. How do you have a brand that has 3 different speaker companies, 2 different battery backup companies, and the list goes on and on and on, and a couple of control companies, and like 4 cloud companies? How do you actuate that into an actionable business model? They needed what, you know, when Snap went, you know, before they went IPO, they needed that. Let's take all these badass brands you have and let's figure out a way to make them all work together, and then we'll go big bet on IPO so everybody can cash out and make a ton of money. That's where this is going. And if they do it right, I'm just saying, with the companies they own, Nortek and the other companies aligned can be bigger than Snap AV. I'm throwing it out there right now. You don't need the distribution model. You got the manufacturing model. That's where the money is made. I mean, we know what's happening with all the stuff going on in China. Like, manufacturing is getting shut down with those guys that, like, they manufacture their stuff with.
Yeah, big energy crisis over there. I agree with you. Well, here's the key word here. They need to integrate, right, with the other company. And yeah, it's one of those things you don't see happen very often, where these companies come together and they're like big silos and nobody talks to anybody over next door, and they miss all the opportunities they have to build upon their portfolio when they, you know, can bring these products together and make them start working. I'd love to see that happen. You know, they say, I saw a news article that said that nothing is going to change until for the next couple of years. I think Matt mentioned that, where it's like 2023 before they even touch anything. And typically you don't even see products messed with at that point. Typically you see like accounting departments combined, shipping combined, warehousing combined, people fired. I mean, that's sales staff laid off, you know, that kind of thing. You see that first. And I don't know if that's going to happen so much here in the States because I mean, the division of Nortek that they bought, well, you're right, Joe. They had like two or three speaker companies, and
they have
Panamax.
everything. They have everything.
Right.
Like
so
I seriously almost took a job with their HVAC company because it was right down the street from my house. But that's the magical thing about business today, is there's hits and there's misses, right? Snap AV has done it all right. They've done it okay. But then you've had Sound United. You've had, like, the list goes, Denim Rice, that whole mess before it became the bigger thing. You've seen it happen and happen and happen again. Some have done it right and they were successful. Snap pulled it off magically because they acquired all the little pieces before they did it. Like before they even went to that equity firm, like when they got Control 4 and everybody else. The Nortek move is magical to me because of the amount of intellectual property that Nortek actually owns through Niles and Speakercraft and every other company there is.
Hey, thanks for watching the first segment of this week's episode. To catch the entire show, please click the link below or visit AVNation.tv. That's AVNation.tv.